Erie, in the top northwest of swing state Pennsylvania, helped propel Donald Trump to the presidency.
This was one of the few areas in the country where Democrats were supposed to be counting on themselves improving, and they didn't.
He's going to revive our economy, take care of our crisis at the southern border, and we're going to make this country better than it's ever been before.
$40.
Once, Democrats could have counted on the votes of young men like these, but Donald Trump drew them in, part of a broad coalition that includes young, old, rich and poor.
Catholics, Black Americans, Latino, and then...
These young men are preparing for the nearly 600 kilometres drive to Washington, D.C. to watch him take the oath of office.
Inflation has drastically impacted how people are able to afford groceries, people are able to afford houses.
Harrison Dunn campaigned for Barack Obama back in 2008.
Fast forward to this election, we have a candidate who is the opposite of the thing that I don't like about President Obama, which is just like very real. He's just almost to a fault says what's on his mind.
Horrible, terrible.
He's promised to lower the cost of living, but has also threatened to impose tariffs that could send inflation soaring back up, along with big tax breaks primarily geared towards wealthy Americans and massive cuts to government spending, which is likely to hurt those on lower incomes.
Elon Musk!
And he's put the wealthiest American of all in charge of making those cuts.
Well, I think we can do at least $2 trillion.
Yeah! Well, the American people voted for disruption and they're going to get it.
Donald Trump is set to take power with some of the highest approval ratings of his political career. There's no sign of widespread buyer's remorse, despite him seemingly backing away from key campaign promises like bringing down the cost of groceries or ending the war in Ukraine in a day. His campaign was able to draw support from a diverse coalition. The test will be holding it together when their interests diverge.
The first term also had sort of a tension between the more, culturally motivated MAGA base that, was not very trusting of elites.
At Trump's rallies, supporters cheered his promises of mass deportations.
They're ruining our country, and it's true. They're destroying the blood of our country. That's what they're doing.
But CEOs like Elon Musk want skilled migrants, some of whom come into America on visas known as H-1B. His war against the nationalist wing of Trump's MAGA movement.
Don't come up and go to the pulpit in your first week here and start lecturing people about the way things are going to be. If you're going to do that, we're going to rip your face off.
He wouldn't be upset about Elon Musk and Steve Bannon being head-to-head or anyone else being head-to-head. He would like to see the debate and then express an opinion and make a decision. That's the way he operates.
Musk has to know that if he goes too far, he'll lose his ability to do anything.
There will be more tests to come. He's promised to abolish the Department of Education, even though some of the poorest and most Trump-friendly states rely on federal funding to keep their schools open. He's also hinted at mass pardons for those jailed over the January 6th attack on the US Capitol, an unpopular idea even among Republican voters.
There's a lot of people who are still outraged by January 6th, still think it was an insurrection and still find it very, very distasteful. And this is going to be yet another piece of that.
While his promise to impose massive tariffs on countries like China could hurt financially struggling voters who backed him to improve the economy.
It will inevitably lead to a massive surge in inflation here in the United States, and that'll have ramifications right around the global economy.
In his second presidency, Donald Trump will be surrounded by loyalists, unlike his first term, when his own administration often pushed back against his most extreme ideas.
I'm feeling very optimistic about the next 4 years and, maybe the next 8 years after that with J.D. Vance, hopefully. So it's going to be interesting and it's going to be great.